Hi everyone, welcome to this week's garden update. I hope you can hear me alright because a couple of my neighbours are currently mowing their grass. Anyway, let's get into this video. I've got a few things going on. We will do a summer colourful cut flower harvest. As well as that, we actually went away for the night to an area called the Blue Mountains, which is about an hour and a half drive from Sydney. And while I was there, I noticed some really neat eco-friendly garden ideas that I want to share with you. And yeah, a few other things. But first of all, let's start off with how I hand pollinate zucchinis. I'm going to demonstrate on this plant. It's a golden zucchini, and this one here should have been harvested a couple of days ago. It's quite large. Anyway, let me remove it and just give it a twist like that. The first point that's important to mention is that a zucchini plant has both male and female flowers. For pollination to occur, the pollen on the anther of the male flower needs to be transferred onto the female flower. This is usually done by our little garden friends like bees and ants, but sometimes we need to give nature a helping hand. I'm now going to show you how to distinguish between a male and female zucchini flower. Here's a female flower. You can see that there's an immature fruit attached to it. This will be here even before pollination, so don't assume that it has already been pollinated just because it's there. And the thing is, if it doesn't get pollinated, what you will find is it will not grow in size and it will start to kind of shrivel up, go brown and eventually rot. Inside the female flower, you can see this part is called the stigma. I think it looks a bit like coral. This is a male flower. You can see that it has a long, thin stem, and inside this part is the anther. Here is a comparison of the two side by side, just so you can see the difference. I'm now going to show you how to hand pollinate. This is best done early in the morning when you find a male and female flower that is fully open, ripe and ready for pollination. Unfortunately, when I was recording this, I couldn't find a male flower that was in full bloom. So you have to imagine that this one is fully open. The first step to do on the male flower is to remove the outer petals. This will enable you easy access to the anther with the pollen on top. And the process is very simple. Using it like, say, a paintbrush, all you do is you rub the pollen from the anther of the male flower onto the stigma of the female flower. I can see that there are a few advantages to hand pollinating your zucchinis. Like, for example, if you're new to gardening and you've got a brand new growing space, you may not have lots of natural pollinators. So as I mentioned earlier, you can give nature that little bit of a boost and helping hand. And by hand pollinating, you may increase your yield per plant. I personally don't stress out about hand pollinating my zucchini plants, and that is because over the years I have noticed a bit of a pattern when it comes to growing them. So initially, when the plant starts to develop, and the flowers appear, I do notice that a lot of the initial flowers are female flowers and there aren't too many male flowers. And what tends to happen here in my garden is the first few female flowers, the immature fruit, remain that way. They don't pollinate, and then, like that example I showed you, they just tend to die off. But then after a while, there seems to be a bit more of a balance and more male flowers appear, and then everything's grand. The fruit develop, and if I can keep them away from the garden pests, we managed to have a really nice bumper crop each season. I'm in the raised garden bed area, got some lovely pink cosmos flowers. Now, I didn't pick any of these this week. However, I did grab a whole load of other beautiful cut flowers. Let's go and take a look at them now. Here are the cut flowers that I picked from my garden this week. For anyone new to my channel, just to let you know, about 3 months ago I started a small business called Bren's Blooms, where I sell my flowers that I grow at a local garden centre. And oh my goodness, some really beautiful ones this week. Like, check out this big bunch of Feverview. It's a medicinal plant, smelling incredible. It makes a wonderful filler in bouquets. Here's another one, a spider plant. I'll put the proper name up on the screen. And then of course dahlias. I purchased a lot of new tubers this year, so heaps of different varieties, dinner plates, pom-poms like this one, and then lovely decorative flowers too, cactus. Just incredible mix of them. Next up are some Rebeckias. It's a prairie plant from North America, also known as Black-Eyed Susan. A bunch of zinnias, annual, drought tolerant, fantastic, and then gorgeous native Australian paper daisies. So here we go. This is what I put together, 4 huge bunches of flowers, colourful, joyful. Just screams summer to me. Beautiful. Sorry, I get really passionate about flowers. I know some people might find that a bit strange. Anyway, you know what? One thing I noticed this week, which is getting me a little bit nervous. Oh my goodness, there are so many pests in the garden. They are getting into the petals. I mean, I use bags to protect the dahlias, but some of those smaller flowers, I can't be covering everything up with plant protector bags. I don't know what to do. Anyway, I'll keep on going. I'm now going to show you that little mini garden inspired vlog that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, where we went to the Blue Mountains and I saw some really neat eco-friendly ideas that are garden related. The moment I laid eyes on this garden, I thought some of you might appreciate having a little look around. You know, box hedges aren't really my style, but I can appreciate all the time and effort that goes into them. And I really love how they create this kind of formality, but then inside the actual beds, the plants are allowed sprawl and, you know, get a little bit wild. After here, we visited a picturesque town called Lura, and I noticed in the car park this sign. And doing a little bit of research, I discovered that there's a group of volunteers, they call themselves the Goalies, who maintain any of the public gardens around the mall area. Look, I just love it. They're recycling, they're making their own compost. How great's that? And then in the local garden centre, where definitely recommend you go check that out. I actually bought a few plants, I'll show them to you soon. They have this recycle centre where you can drop off your old pots and other people can pick them up, or if you need some. You know, it's just such a great idea. It stops them going into landfill and they get used more than once. Here are the plant purchases I just spoke about that I picked up at Birches of Lura. One that I'm pretty excited about is this. I have grown Shasta daisies before. I had one year that they flowered incredibly well and then all the plants died on me, which is a bit annoying, but I was happy to pick this one up. And you know, if you always have a look in the pots, you can sometimes get some bonus plants, and actually there's quite a lot of plants in here. I'd say at least 15. So what I'm going to be doing is dividing them up, growing them over autumn time. Hopefully I'll be able to overwinter them, and by next summer I will have lots of these beautiful flowers that work really well in bouquets. I also picked up a couple of tomato plants because my ones are so puny this year. Usually I have great seasons with tomatoes, but I just haven't been giving them a lot of attention. Like, here's a tomato plant, heaps of green fruit on it, but no sign of any ripening yet. Lovely long trusses there. I don't find with the smaller tomato varieties that I need to put the fruit protector bags on them, because the fruit flies don't seem to be too interested in the little tomatoes. It's more of the larger ones. Like over here I have a couple more tomato plants. Oh, they just look awful. Look at the state of the foliage, diseased, puny plants, not many fruit, but better than nothing, I guess. Well, that's about it for this week, everyone. Before I head off, I did want to mention that some of you may have already noticed I've been uploading short form videos on the shorts section here on YouTube. Those videos have been recorded by myself here in my cottage garden over, I'd say, the last 2 to 3 years. So if you're looking for a bit more garden content, there's lots of garden harvests there. I share lots of tips and tricks and garden hacks. Please go and check them out. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful week and happy gardening.